Welcome back to our channel. Welcome back to the Lexington. We're done with the saucer for now. I need to put another coat of primer, a fresh coat of primer. See how we are on the seams as far as the sides of the saucer. Mask off our nav lights, and then actually we need to mask off our nav lights first, and then prime everything. We need to mask the impulse engines off, prime everything, and then see how it looks. And then we can finally put our color code on if everything looks okay. So for now, we're going to put the saucer aside and start working on the secondary. The secondary, I've added a few more supports here on the sides to help stiffen up the area around the cells where they go into the hull. We used the photo etch template kit. We used part number 16 for the hangar deck dome. We had that. I used a template. The hole's at 1/8 of an inch, so I took some Plastruct 1/8 inch tubing, cut it and glued it in place, and then we'll use our clear resin to make the dome, and we got that done. So now it's time to work on the shuttlecraft hangar deck. This is by Paragraphics. I think I showed this in one of my videos already, but we've got some of our tools out here. We got our flat blade to cut the parts off with. Got a piece of glass here. You don't want to use your cutting mat. We got a razor blade to help us bend the parts. We have our, needle nose pliers that we can use, and also our all of our assortments of tweezers to bend the parts. So I think we got enough here to bend the parts. I don't have one of them fancy photo fetch bending machine things, but we don't need it for this. We can get by with this stuff. Now I noticed when I was looking at these parts here that they only give you these 3 little holes to run lights in, and this area here gets covered up by the observation deck up here. So basically you're only going to have 4 itty-bitty windows that the light's going to be coming out of, and that's obviously not going to be enough to light it up like this. So you're not going to be able to see inside there unless we come up with our own way of lighting the hangar deck. So I'm just going to have to figure it out on the fly. But I am going to use these 0603. I think they're the perfect size for the hangar deck to light up. And I'll probably put a couple on the very top or the ceiling here, where these are normally, I think, light panels. But here they're just solid. You would paint them in white, but we're going to drill 2 small holes in the center of this center panel and mount a 0603 there, and 2 of these shining down should be enough to light up this area quite well. Step number 1 is the sealing in the walls, and as you can see there, it's 4 pieces. So we've got that together. And I used solder for the back wall, and then solder for the support. And then for the front, though, I used the GS Hypo. So we got step number 2 done. Step number 2 was putting in the air handlers. Okay, so we got that done, and again we just soldered those in place from behind. Take a look inside here. You can kind of see in there in the roof. So those are in. And then our next step is step 3, the observation lounges, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, we got part number 7. Part number 7 and 6 and 7. Now, it says to put part number 7 on this side, but that's wrong. It should go on this side. Because one side of the wall here, observation deck, one side of it is angled, and it's supposed to match the angle on the back deck, the back windows there. So the instructions are wrong. 7 should be 8, and 8 should be 7, if that makes any sense to you, if you get this kit. So, show you here. It looks like you can kind of see it there. Maybe you can see it. But there are all the observation lounges. And our next step, I guess our last step is the floor, and then the shuttlecrafts, and then part of the hangar doors themselves. So for that, we'll probably have to anneal, heat it up, and get that spring out of it so we have a nice shape to it. Oh, also too, I don't think I mentioned this, the observation lounges, I didn't, the larger ones I soldered in place. These itty bitty ones here towards the front, the opening, those I just used GS Hypo and glued them in there. That would have been really difficult to try to get them aligned properly, hold it in place, solder it, because it's so delicate. It was just easier to use the GS Hypo on those little ones, but the larger ones have all been soldered in. So, so we got a little bit of GS Hypo and then solder to put this together. Alright, we just primered the shuttle bay. I did it in black first, black primer. And then went over it with gray primer. And then we'll go in there and start detail painting. I drilled a couple holes in the roof for those 0603 SMDs that we'll put on the top, because I don't really think you're going to see the roof anyway, or the ceiling, not roof. You're really not going to see the ceiling much once it's inside here, unless you're underneath the model trying to look up. This is what you're actually going to see. So I'm not really too worried about having the LEDs just on the surface of the ceiling. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And I think I'm going to leave the primer gray, the color of the hangar deck, because I'm going with a lighter gray on the body. So I think just the primer will work fine. I'll hit the hangar deck with some matte clear once I get the lights on it. But I'm going to take off the floor and try to tape it up and see how it fits, so I know just exactly what I'm looking at as far as the room, how it's going to sit in here, because I have to put lights under it because of the lights back here, and I have to make sure I have room for that or figure that out. So I still got a lot of figuring out to do, how this is going to fit in there and what I need to do to get it to work with the supports I added up here. So we still got a little bit ways to go yet. But I think that's it for this video. I would have shown you my assembly, but my hands would have been in the way. You wouldn't have seen much anyway. That's why I just would do the assembly and record it and move on. But that's where we're at for this video. I think that's enough. And yeah, onward, and we'll continue working on the Lexington. We might have a little bit of lull in my channel. I've been given some news on my health. If it's one thing, it's something else. So I'm having issues with my kidneys. They think I'm heading in the bad direction for kidney function. So, we knew this was going to happen a few years ago because of the chemo and stuff. That really is hard on your kidneys. So, we'll just kind of keep plugging away and put our faith and trust in the man above, and we should be okay. He got me this far. He'll carry me a little bit more. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you.